seek professional advice.
So hello and welcome to Pro Dad, Noob Dad.
Hello.
I am the Noob Dad, Chris.
I'm Joel. I am the Pro Dad. I need to put a caveat in this.
Go on.
It's already been pulled up at home about calling myself a Pro Dad.
They disagree with the name.
Yeah. So I think because we picked it quite quickly, didn't we? The name Pro Dad.
Yeah.
Because it was a new pro noob thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it invests in me a higher status than I'm actually worthy of.
But who made that judgment?
My wife.
Your wife. But
Yeah.
what would your kids say though?
Well, probably not much. But I think what happened was the kids were fighting and they screaming and they had a big fight and shit went everywhere.
Some pro dad you are.
We'll have to watch the levels on that. I think we've got a spike.
Yeah.
But
So I think that there's it has to be said that it is really only about knowledge about children. I'm still, in lots of ways, a really terrible parent. A rule I have as a dad, and going off topic here.
yeah, massive tangent straight away.
No, this because this is one thing. One of my dad theories.
Yeah, okay,
is,
dad theory.
is never try and referee kids. Right, you'll see it all the time with other parents when you go to kids' birthday parties or kids playing in the parks. Some parents really try and over-referee a kid's argument. So kids will be arguing over who's got the stupidest, poopiest pants or
Right.
whose stick is that.
Yeah.
Right? Don't try and referee kids because you can't operate on their level.
What do you mean by referee?
So going, okay, now children, what's going on here? Whose stick was this?
Trying
Okay,
to
now,
use some logic into the
Charlie, don't you
situation.
take that. Now this is, this is Julian's stick. Don't take Julian's stick. He had it first. The kids, let them fight over the stick.
Right.
It's not for us to decide.
Because
But
there's an element of learning how to interact with others.
I
learning
just think we can't dumb down to their level. Like if they're having a
how
fight
to
over
speak for
something,
yourself.
yeah.
But
If they're having a fight over something that's really dumb, as they always are at like parties, it's not like they're not having proper conversations. They're having really dumb kid conversations and trying to referee that and separate them. So for me, you just let kids argue it out. They'll get there on their own. As long as nobody gets hurt, as long as no blood, then let them fight.
Can we keep Pro Dad for this though?
We can keep Pro Dad new.
Because I disagree with your wife.
Okay, but I just wanted to say that like it doesn't mean I'm an amazing dad who spends loads of time with his kids and takes them on roller coasters one day and fishing the next day. I'm still terrible in lots of ways as a dad, but I just happen to know a lot. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
And I think that's good, and I think that's a really valid discussion to have. In that, like, for me, like Pro Dad, professional dad means experience, and like I think that's a really important thing. But B, it means like an awareness of your own shortcomings as well. Because self-awareness, I think, is a massively important thing when you're trying to be any form of role model. And if you're a professional in a working environment, a self-awareness of where you do good, and so you can try and circumvent that a little bit. And I think, I disagree with your wife. I'll tell your wife next time I see her. She doesn't watch the shows.
She's never going to watch it.
Yeah, never going to show.
Never going to watch it.
So yeah, welcome. So subscribe.
Oh yes,
like and subscribe. We've never said like and subscribe.
And that's how we make all the money, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we've said like and subscribe, we can actually quit our jobs.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
We do need a Patreon. Is that next?
A Patronus. You Harry Potter? Is this what you're talking about?
I don't know. But no, there's something where like you can pay £2 a month.
Like the Medici family.
Is
that what you're after?
I don't know any of these things.
This week in Foetus News. Foetus News,
Foetus
just news. The week in Foetus News. When we say the week, we actually mean the fortnight, obviously.
Yes.
This is bi-weekly, which means either twice a week or once every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Biannual is the same, isn't it? Yeah. Biannual is every 2 years.
But it can also be twice a year.
It can mean the same thing.
Yeah, it can mean the same thing.
I
So
know that.
pointless. Like literally.
Yeah, so fortnightly will do.
It's literally pointless.
Yeah.
Fortnightly, but the fortnight and weekly. This is so rambling today. We're going to go back.
Yeah.
This fortnight in the Foetus News. So the fortnight in Foetus News.
Yeah.
Again, massive amounts have happened.
Okay, so it's been 2 weeks since it was a navel orange.
Yeah.
What are we now?
Or an avocado.
Well, that's smaller than a navel orange.
Apparently not. In maths. No, apparently not.
Well, that's disappointing because I mean I eat a lot of avocado.
Yeah.
It's I'm part of my staple diet.
Yeah.
I'll never afford a house.
No.
And like when you're going to describe a navel orange to me, I imagine something kind of yay big, but the avocados are quite small. Am I being duped on avocados? Am I buying small avocados?
I would say maybe I had no perception of what a navel orange was.
So maybe it wasn't that big. Maybe
No.
it was a little thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But-
Because when you told me how big the fetus was and described a large orange, I was very much like, wow, that seems very big.
So I probably had no conception.
Yeah. So maybe it was more like a mandarin.
Can you still say that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you can say mandarin. Yeah.
Okay. So avocado.
No. So there's three names for mandarin. There's mandarin. There's what else do you call it? A satsuma.
Satsuma. Are they all the same thing?
I don't know. And there's one more as well. And I was saying not nectarine, it's something else like that. This is the problem with avocados. I found, and I do eat a lot of avocado.
Go on.
Is it's always the same price inside every time. It's always a wooden ball.
And we're not even on Joel's dad joke of the week yet. So that's.
I have pulled that one out pretty much every time I've eaten an avocado in front of the kids. It's a wooden ball again. You can have this one. I've got loads.
Okay. Yeah. So avocado. Do you want to have a stab at? We always do. Always. This is our second time of doing fetus fortnight. So, but it doesn't matter because if you've done it twice, it's a tradition. Yeah. So we always do. If my wife was ex-mammal,
Yep.
she'd have given birth by now.
Right. Okay.
So what mammal would she be to have given birth by now?
Tiger.
No.
Wait. Let me try again.
I think probably bigger, longer,
Elk.
right? I would say no. I don't know. We can look up avocado.
You know, right?
I do know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
The
the funniest animal.
hyena.
Beaver. Beaver. 122 days.
Okay. All right.
So she was a beaver. She'd
Yeah.
given birth by now.
Alright.
Again, loads going on. I thought the period last time was one of the busiest fortnights there was going to be. Yeah, see, it's the funniest animal. But this fortnight, grown a full spinal cord.
Oh, okay.
Right, arms. I really like this kind of term. Arms long enough to hide the face,
Oh, nice.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Although translucent skin still, which is a little bit unnerving.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that will cure itself by the time it comes out. Although you are ginger,
I am ginger,
So,
effectively
I mean,
translucent.
the child has a good chance of being semi-translucent.
Yeah. They've still got that really weird soft spot on the baby's head.
Well, they have that until they come out.
Yeah. Well, we saw a 4D scan of it, and it looked pretty horrendous.
Did you find out what the fourth dimension was?
It wasn't love.
No.
It was time, movement. So it was a video. It was a video. Starting to swallow amniotic fluid now.
Can
Which is
it run out?
well, I kept prompting the wife to make sure she kept drinking because it by the end of the session,
Yeah.
she's on they are on a doesn't know the sex yet. We're going to do that a little bit later on.
That is today's episode.
They are smashing about 1 litre a day.
A litre?
Yeah.
A baby is drinking a litre of amniotic fluid.
Well, that's what the book said. Yeah.
That's
We can sense check that. We'll put a
Yeah.
chyron up. If I've got that wrong and I've misremembered that, we'll put
Have
the
you
chyron
like
up.
Chiron from watching the election?
Yeah.
I don't know what that I watch so much CNN, but
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
There you go, yeah. We'll pop a chyron up if I've got that wrong, but I think
Breaking
it's
news.
less than a litre. So that's a big thing.
Oh, the womb's gone blue. The womb's gone blue. Breaking.
The baby can frown,
Oh, okay.
although that's just purely like reflex. There's no.
Yeah, it's not actually annoyed by it.
It's not
is it?
sad or annoyed. Yeah, no, not yet.
Wait, maybe it's running out of amniotic fluid.
Could, yeah. Suck thumb, independent finger movement.
Right.
Started developing a foot arch, which I for some reason felt very human. And the head is now smaller than the body.
Right. Okay.
Which is a big-
yeah, because
which is a big
quite
thing.
big head. Yeah.
Yeah. When you think of like fetus development, what's one of the big things that you're like, ooh, that's quite human? Is that like for me it was foot arch and fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
What was yours?
Breathing.
Breathing.
Heartbeats and like lungs and things.
I learned so much about baby breathing today that they start to practice fake breathing now.
Right. And is they breathing in the fluid? Right?
Yeah, so they're doing a couple of hours a
Because when the
day.
baby comes out, you have to kind of get them all the fluid out of them because they've been breathing through it.
I learned that from the Abyss.
Right.
James Cameron theories.
Yeah. That was his idea that you could breathe underwater if you
With the liquid, because you remember.
Yeah.
But they do fake breathing, so it's of no real practical benefit apart from like getting the lungs and getting the chest and stuff ready. It starts off about 2-3 hours. By the end of it, they're doing about 8 hours a day fake breathing. I don't know about nipples. I haven't got. I'll Google nipples.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be coming soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was yours? Would nipples be one for you? Would that be this is quite a human thing?
I mean, I don't think I tracked it the same way you did. I wasn't, up on it as much as you were. But I mean, hair and legs and fingernails seems quite human, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fingernails.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning a lot.
We also found out she's got a posterior rather than anterior. I don't think that's of any actual medical benefit, those hand movements. A posterior placenta.
Right.
Meaning...
It can still move, though.
Can it?
Yep.
So she could start with the posterior.
It can move because it can block the exit.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all go.
Because this meant she's going to start to feel kicks earlier.
Right, okay.
With the posterior, as opposed to...
I mean, someone may be able to know better than me, but I'm pretty sure that at any stage the placenta can move.
Can move?
Yeah.
I'm sure with all the weirdness that goes on.
Because the baby can move around as well, so you can start off and it can be in the right position, and then as you get further on, it can be upside down and the wrong way around. It's legs first.
It was totally the wrong way around when we did our scan. But yeah, that's the fortnight in fetus news.
That's good updates. Yeah, lovely stuff.
Good updates. So our main topic of the week now.
Yeah. So I think this is a big one because, I mean, this is a huge milestone on the journey for the kids. So as we said last week, last fortnight.
What is the topic, though? We've just
the topic of the week is Chris's baby gender reveal.
Sex reveal. Not gender reveal.
Okay. Chris's baby sex reveal.
Yeah.
So obviously this is a huge milestone. Now some people don't find out and are robbed of this moment.
Yeah.
And some people do find out and they burn down an entire Californian countryside. It's very popular these days to have a gender reveal party, not a sex reveal party. I think if you said you were doing a sex reveal party, or like a sex party, I think you might get a different turnout.
Yeah. But it is a sex reveal. Like, that's what I think one of the... I mean, I don't want to get too much into the gender reveals.
I'm not down with the kids enough to understand whether it's sex or gender is the one you are or not. So.
Well, I don't think it's what it's allowed to say. It's just sex is the biological aspect.
Right.
And then gender is the things that go around what you would say would be traditionally male or traditionally female.
Right.
And that can change throughout the ages, but the sex aspect is the same if it's 1100 or...
So it's whether
2100.
So you X chromosome or Y chromosome, that's what we count it.
Pretty much, yeah. So what is the biological sex?
Yeah.
And then what is the gender? So Joel doesn't know this yet.
I can't wait to see what you've got planned to tell me.
I haven't got anything. I thought we'd go for a mild chat.
All right, go on.
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So it is
a
boy.
Oh!
Hey! Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
It is a boy.
I thought it was a boy because
go on.
When we spoke on Sunday, because I spoke to Chris on Sunday after the scan, and I said, "Did you get a result?" And he said, "Yes, we got an unequivocal, absolute confirmed result." And I thought, well, it's probably a boy then, because it's with a girl. You can be like, well, we think it's a girl, but there could be something hiding behind the leg.
Yeah, that's
true.
If
you see a penis,
it's
absolutely a boy.
Yeah. Which was, I think, going into it. So before I was driving down to it, it was I was genuinely ambivalent. I think as to what sex was, and then I was driving down. I was like, actually, I think I do want a boy because then there'll be some certainty.
What do you mean?
Well, because if it is a boy, you'll you'll see the penis.
Yeah. Oh, I see on the scan.
And then there'll be some certainty because if they said, "Oh, it's a girl," I think I'd still be like, "Oh, it might be a boy."
Yeah, I mean, I say that, but I mean, the midwives that do the scans are super professional.
But this was a private scan in a private place, so this isn't the...
Could have been a work experience kid.
It could have been, This isn't the NHS kind of dream team. And also, I guess, the further you go along, the more obvious it is because things are going to be more developed and whatnot. Yeah. So it's probably easier on that 21 week or 20 week review, which will be confirmed. But no, so it is boy. So as I say, I was like, I think I do want a boy, purely so that I can. So I struggled to feel any kind of tangible connection, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting thing for men and for fathers. But then, because they do it in the room, you can have a number of options, but they can like pop it up on the screen whilst you're having a look. In like okay, we'll put the photo here. We'll put
It's a ball.
yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And it was a bit like the old flip a coin test when you've got two choices to make, and you flip a coin, and then you'll get an unconscious reaction based on what the coin flip is.
Right.
You get what I mean by that.
No, explain it.
So like, if you're like, oh, should I go to Oxford or Cambridge? Great
example. Go on.
Yeah.
We've been there.
You both get the offer from
Yeah.
both. You flip the coin,
Yeah.
say heads Oxford, tails Cambridge. If it comes down heads,
Yeah.
and then you're like, that's good.
Yeah.
Like unconsciously, your
Yeah.
bodily affect before you've had a chance to consciously think about it. That's probably what you wanted to do in the first
I
place.
got it.
Then when the thing popped up, I was like, like it was a relief,
Oh yeah.
which was really weird.
Yeah.
Because in my
So secretly that is what you wanted, but you just didn't admit it.
well, I don't know if I didn't admit it, because I think even like there's no point lying to you about anything, or to anyone. So like, I think if I'd wanted a boy, I'd be like, yeah, no, I would actually quite like a boy.
Maybe you just didn't realise that's what you wanted.
But I don't think I realised it.
Yeah.
But now I think when it actually happened, it was like, okay. It was the clarity of it, of being like, well, I think I can understand. Although obviously times change, and never the same river twice and whatnot. And like, but I think I probably got a better feel of what the boys' problems are going to be growing up.
Yeah,
I think because I've had that kind of
No,
experience.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that boys and girls are a bit different.
Yeah.
And I found that with my kids is that they do act differently, a boy and a girl, and the things that you do with a boy aren't necessarily going to be the things you do with a girl. And so I think that it was definitely a different experience. And I always think that when you see a parent and they've got two kids and got two boys and they've stopped, I always think, don't you want to try for a third one in case you get a girl, just to see what that experience is like, or vice versa.
But so we talked a little bit about this last time, and we talked about the idea of like, I don't even know what a gendered toy would be for someone under 3. Like, I get it. So when did those differences start to
I think, as I
occur?
said again, so I mean, I think like with my lad is that, and I'm not particularly manly. It's not like I'm like watching rugby and lifting weights or anything. I mean, like and he just like seemed to really love trains. And I can't remember the exact things, but you go into a toy shop and they do seem to like just want to play with train sets and things, and whereas my daughter just never did, and there just seems to be this built-in boyness. No, all our toys, we went very kind of super woke with our first kid, and we just bought all these gender neutral wooden toys, which we love, and we still actually have them. And we could probably have some.
Nice.
Really nice, handcrafted, probably in China, but handcrafted, hand-painted, lovely wooden toys, and the kids still love them. We still play with them, little car racing things and pointy things, and so that is what they play with when they're a little kid. But he did just start really loving trains, and now like we sit down to play and we'll play PlayStation together, and my daughter will come in and she'll have a look, but she's just not interested. There's just something about the PlayStation, and I just can't see how that's possibly cultural, because she's grown up with a dad who loves playing PlayStation. The boy has gone, let's play Spider-Man, let's play shooting games, let's do this. And my daughter just looks at Spider-Man and Call of Duty and just kind of shrugs.
But was that an incremental change, or was it suddenly like a flip one day as they were growing up? Because they must have. I cannot understand a gendered experience from like 0 to 3. Like I can't.
No. I mean, it does start to happen because, like, I mean, so much must be cultural. But I'm thinking about my 2-year-old now, which is in 3, and she likes Paw Patrol, and she watches Paw Patrol, and she likes dinosaurs, and she because a big brother does, and she plays with those toys. But she still loves a little tea party and things, and I think my son actually probably did that as well. So maybe there is more gender. It's such a minefield of trying to work out whether it's cultural or it's kind of built in. But I think there's I think what you can't argue is that most boys, they get those testosterone and they get the hormones start coming in at like 3, 4, and they do start to become boisterous and they do become a different personality. And they are more argumentative and funky, and they are drawn to more kind of those traditional things.
So talk to me about like.
He likes sports and I do too sports.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what am I going to expect? Like, I'm going to expect a fairly neutral potato for 6 months.
Yeah, for 6 months. I mean, it is just a neutral potato, as you say.
Yeah.
And then there'll be no noticeable difference. There's a famous thing about the way that when you're changing a nappy, that boys have a habit of peeing upwards when you're changing a nappy, but I never experienced that.
Okay.
But that is quite
the classic like Hollywood comedy.
Yeah.
Like,
and the pee goes up into your face.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
that's a thing. And I think lots of people have experienced that. I never had it.
Right.
It's not child. But that's a
quick tangent on that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very like old comedic trope of the idea of like changing nappies is super hard. Is it hard?
No, not really. No, I mean I remember when I did my first couple, and it's always at like 4 a.m.
Right.
So you're always just going to string it to bed, and you're opening the poo, and the baby's crying and wiggling, and like, you know, especially really the first days, it's still got the belly button thing tagged on. This is gross. I don't want to look at it. And gross out by poo. We're both dogs. We both pick shit all the time.
Yeah.
But the actual act is quite easy. It's the turn that's really hard is the baby grows, like, because they can't get their clothes on enough, so you've got to kind of get the baby grows off them and undo the buttons and the little presters and things. I've got fat hands. And I can't really do intricate things with my fingers. And so that was the issue, getting the baby grows on and off their feet and stuff, because they're so tiny and they're so, like, their feet are so small, and you just kind of get them back in the baby grow. That, I think, is the hard part. But
so the actual nappy, there's just kind of one way to put it on, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's easy. Like, yeah, no, there's no problem with changing that.
Okay.
And I think, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's if the baby grows, I think it's
So no research before you had to do it.
No,
here we go.
I think I changed my first ever nappy at about, say, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Yeah,
Like short term to go.
yeah, on day one of the keeping.
That's much your average nappy changer. Yeah, it should be fun. So it was 6 to 1.
What do you mean?
6 months to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
When does any form of personality start to kick in?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, I think quite young. I mean, again, you misremember because you don't write these things down. You probably will.
Yeah.
But I didn't
That's
write
quite
them
this
down.
channel.
Yeah,
To a degree.
is that they do start to get a personality quite young. So, I mean, like 3 or 4 months, they'll be cheeky, or they'll be funny, or they'll be serious, or they'll be, and it depends what kind of afflictions they've got. But certainly by 9 months. So, 2 of my 3 kids were talking at 9 months, which is quite young. And we're communicating. And by then, you can already get the start picture of who they are and what they're like. And even now, you can say, my daughter's like this and my son's like this, and they're very different personality-wise. And then my third child is in the kind of the blend of the two, and she takes the 2 different, she takes the influence of the 2 older kids. But I've said this a couple of times, is that before I had kids, I thought that you got to raise a child in the way you wanted. So if I have a child, I'm going to teach them this, and I'm going to teach them to be like that, and they shall be like this, and they shall be that, and you don't get to do that. For me, kids come out fully formed. You just get to look after them for 8 years. So you can guide them a little bit, but I mean, generally their personality and what they like is who they are. I can't make my son love football. He just isn't interested.
And this is a really important topic. We're going to talk about this in the mini-sode afterwards. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, and so there's things that you kind of think you're going to do as a parent, and it's very hard to do. So even things like teaching them, like reading and writing. So I really wanted to teach the kids really early on how to read and write and get them ready for school and things. And 2 things happened. One is a primary school teacher told me, don't bother, because you'll undo work that the primary school teachers will eventually do. Like if you go too early teaching them to read and write, that they have such a good way of reading and writing. If you've taught them a different way, they'll have to undo all your work and then change them over.
That's
So
really interesting.
she said,
Yeah.
just have fun with them, just play with them, toys, just be, don't try and teach them to read and write before they go to preschool at 3.5, 4. So that was one thing, but also that your role isn't necessarily one of those things. It's very hard to kind of be a parent and be strict and feed them and look after them and put them to bed at night and try and do lots of other things as well. There are other adults who do that, like at school, and they just have this personality intrinsically that you don't get a say in. Do you know what I mean? They are who they are, and that's certainly been my experience. I'm not saying that's the same for everyone, but my experience has been all of my kids go out for fun. And we watched like a video of my 8-year-old when she was 3. And you go, that's still who she is now. You can see her doing this like silly dance and the silly faces and the things that she said. And now, 5-6 years later, that's still the same person she is. That's like no amount of moulding or changing or influence of us undid those personality traits that she had. They were evident.
But there must be superficial things that you do influence, like football is a good example, right? So like your daughter being into watching football and playing football.
Yeah.
I think it would be really difficult for my daughter to do that.
No, because they're at school. Because remember,
because she picks up at school.
So remember, at 5 years old, you lose them all day. So once they start school,
so then they're getting influences from everywhere.
Everywhere,
yeah.
And so they'll come back and they'll go around their friend's house. Again, after school they go around their friend's house and they'll come back. Oh, Dad, I played Mario. So have you ever played Mario? It's amazing. Can we get a Nintendo? Oh, obviously not.
Yeah. Well, this is one thing I wanted to ask about, and again, we're going to go into some in more depth in our sex, but like exposure to all of these kind of influences, like how I listened to Baby Shark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I listened to Baby Shark for the first time last week.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah,
so that was the first thing. I was really surprised at how good it was.
Yeah.
Because it became the most, at least at the time it's recording, watched me on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like,
most of those are me in my house.
But then I was thinking, like, how would like my child be exposed to Baby Shark? Like, how would that happen?
And well, through friends. So
through friends is the answer.
Yeah.
It's the obvious answer, really.
If you lived on a desert island and you didn't meet up with any of the parents, then that's how it would happen. But your kids will go to playgroup probably at 2 or 6 months. My kids have all gone to playgroups 2 or 3 a week from 1, 2 years old. They do little music classes, and then they do nursery school. They do sort of preschool at 3. And they're going to have friends, and then you'll be friends with the parents, and you'll have your own Gary, and you'll have.
Oh, never. Well, Gary, never.
Your kids will have all these influences, and they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, do you know this song that goes like this? And then you find that song, and then you listen to that song. They just draw influences from everywhere. You don't get to be the sole guardian of your child from such a tiny age.
Yeah, no, of course. And it's very obvious when you talk about it like that. So, as you have a mix of sex kids, do you find yourself ever conscious of, like, your projection of masculinity?
No, I don't think so. I think I do treat them differently into how I tell them off.
But I mean, like, your example of how you conduct yourself and act, not how you interact with them. How you conduct yourself.
Absolutely not. No. I mean, I think I want my daughters to be bold and outward and ass kicking and
Which they very much are.
and uppity and difficult.
Yeah.
So again, this is one of my little rules that I've always had. So I really hate the phrase because I said so. Dad, why can't I do that? It's because I said so. And my thought, and this is one of the things where I always wanted to do this before they were born, and I think I have managed to do it, is that if you can convince me why you should be able to do this, you can do it. Right?
Isn't that to a degree trying to referee, though?
No, this is teaching them to argue their case and to have clear, logical understanding. And I'm trained to be barristers, clearly.
So now we come to everybody's favourite segment. It's Joel's dad joke of the week.
Yeah, we accidentally decided we were going to do this last time, didn't we, when we were talking about dad jokes, and we'll do one every week.
Yes.
So I have been making a note. I know you're deliberately doing them, but I've been trying to remember the ones I've done. So this week, a couple of days ago, I was making dinner.
Right.
Peas, I said to my son, "Do you need a pee?" He laughed at that. That was
Did you
quite
like
good.
that? That went down well, yeah.
I did, yeah. And
Right.
and I made both of my kids laugh because my wife was in a bad mood or angry about something.
Getting angry by the minute.
Yeah, and she said, "Does anybody want a hot cross bun?" And I said, "I'll tell you what you've got, hot cross bun." And they both.
I mean, that's quality.
They
That's
pissed
quality, yeah.
themselves. They pissed
Okay.
themselves, yeah. But at the same time, I was saying she was hot.
That's
So,
nice.
Like, that was nice, yeah. Not sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was good.
What did your wife make of that? You all right? Yeah, it's good.
And then dad lines, which we've done.
Dad lines.
Yeah.
I'm so keen on dad lines.
Okay, so we live really close to a farm, and we go to the farm quite a lot. But I'm really sick of going to the farm because
Just-
we go there a lot.
Just bored.
Just.
Too small.
So I told the kids that I'd been barred from it.
Told them you were barred.
Yeah.
What for?
Because,
Oh, because of the sheep. So no, you didn't actually tell them you
No,
were
I said
barred.
I'm not allowed in anymore. And they said, "Oh, why not?" I said, "I've been barred."
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
wasn't just a lie to get out of it. This
It
is-
wasn't like to get out of it. I had told them I'm not allowed in anymore. And now
but you did the joke as well.
as well. Yeah. Do it up.
And they still bought it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
great.
Any more lies from this week?
I did say that there was a type of kung fu called glass fu, where you fight with glass, but that was quite funny.
No. But those are the lovely things that will never come up until 15 years later,
Yes,
when
there's no such
she
thing.
goes on a
Yeah.
date
Yeah.
with a martial artist, and she's like, "Oh yeah, do you do glass food?
Yeah.
Do you do glass food?"
Yeah, when you take a glass
Yeah.
out of the cupboard and you flip it around and
Yeah.
you twist it around and then hit the kid on the head with it.
So that to
Yeah.
me, that's a great dad lie.
Yeah. Because it's just it's mundane enough
Yeah.
to not be silly. Yeah.
Innocuous, never going to come up in conversation.
Because I'll do a dad line when they kind of straight away, like when we were at the zoo,
right.
and I said that all of the flamingos have numbers printed on the bottom of them.
Right.
And that way you can just turn them upside down and then that's called flamingo bingo.
Right.
And I think straight away they know it's not true. But at the same time you can say, "Oh, do you know when you've not got your shoes on? Do you know why it's called bare feet?" Oh, because bears don't wear shoes. You know?
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So it's
okay.
like your feet are like how a bear's would look.
Yeah.
They're bear's feet because they don't wear shoes. Oh, okay.
So have you found that as they've gotten older, you can't push the envelope as much? You have to be cleverer with your lives.
Yeah, you can't be silly. Yeah, they generally look at their mum and their mum just goes,
Oh. Okay, so if you're both in on it,
no.
no, but if you were,
Yeah, you're both in on it. Yeah, I mean, but that kind of feels cruel, doesn't it? Like deliberately teaching the kids wrong, because you could teach your kids wrong. I mean, you could sit them down and tell them a story that was purposely wrong. I mean, people do it at church all the time, don't they?
got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so that's Joel's dad joke of the week. Next milestone.
Yeah.
This is our last segment. Next milestone. Next milestone is probably going to be, choosing a name.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, but how early do you want to decide on the name? You're quite an organised person,
Yes.
so you're going to want the name done and slotted away and have the labels printed for a school uniform now. Because you're going to
I cannot, and you might tell me I'm being incredibly naive, but I cannot see that there will be any difference between now and the baby being born in choosing a name.
One of my parenting pet hates is people who pre-name their baby and then start referring to it by its name before it's born.
Right.
So I've seen people say, "Oh, Merry Christmas" from Joel, Chris, and Barry, the baby,
Yeah.
and it's still in the mum's tongue.
Right. Yeah.
And you
No.
go but it's a baby. You can't put it Barry to start with, but you can't I don't know. And that's just a pet hate. It might be unfounded.
Well, this is a little thing I wanted to discuss, and we'll talk about this more during the naming. But I think because we are not doing anything, we've spunk some beans 4 months ago and done nothing really apart from being nagged at occasionally
Bit of driving.
and a bit of driving. So it's quite hard to develop a connection. I
I mean,
think.
you're not even painting the baby. You're not even paid somebody to paint it for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to paint rooms.
That was quite a right passage to go and paint babies.
Yeah. What if you're just not very good at it?
That's probably okay. paint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, it's quite hard to be bad at painting, really, isn't it? I mean,
What
like,
if
unless you're chuckle.
What if you're lazy? Yeah, so I'm going to put the decals on after it's done.
Okay, that's all right.
So there's some elements of personalisation to it. But making that connection to something that you are not really a part of, I found to be very difficult.
We've always had a short list, and then once the baby was born, decided within the first 3 or 4 days. So we've never made the decision before. With my son, it was pretty much, I think that's what we wanted to go with. And then my third kid, so we had 3 names on a short list, which we were all like my wife had one, she really liked, I hated it, and vice versa. And then there was a name that we were like, it kind of works. And then we ended up, the birthing suites at the hospital were all named after trees. And we were in the willow suite.
Lovely.
And
So yeah, job done.
And then so that was nice. But she's the only one of my kids who got a middle name, because when my son came in, he was only like 3 at the time. And like we said, what do you think we should call her? And he said, I think we should call her Rosie. And I went, oh, that's really nice. Not good enough. But it's
second prize.
Yeah.
You get a middle
so
name.
we gave her as a middle name, yeah.
Well, I think next episode, I'm going to bring in 3.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to bring in 3 names, I think.
Well, I think 3 names in the pot's quite good.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then we're going to have a middle name discussion.
Right.
Should you do middle names? How many middle names?
It's a minefield, isn't it? I mean, because what a lot of people do is they go for their the grandparents and things, and like paying tribute to somebody, but that just gets messy.
Because I had no middle names. Changed my name for when I married my wife, so we matched up, and gave myself 2 middle names. And the kind of I really love having 2 middle names now.
Yeah.
In the situations that comes up. So we can talk about that. But
yeah, you can have a bit of fun with middle names, I guess, can't you?
A little bit of fun. I think for me,
I know someone whose middle names are Richard Edward.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because his dad was being funny.
Yeah, that's nice.
His dad's like a proper prankster.
Very nice. I think it's going to help with connection and bonding for me personally.
Yeah.
To be able to personify it with a name.
Yeah. Again, I don't have a valid argument as to why you shouldn't rename it. Yeah. I just feel like you don't name it until you've seen it.
I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. No. But I think a good discussion on the relative merits of the different
I think as long as you don't refer to it too much. So you'll be like, so let's say you decide to call it Steve.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, morning, my wife. Like, how are you this morning? How's Steve?
Yeah.
Like, that feels weird to name to refer to it by its name before it's born. And that's probably just a personal thing. It just feels a bit weird.
I think that's entirely dependent on the couple and what makes you both happiest. I'm certainly not going to refer to my name in front of you.
Now, not now.
But I can't imagine a situation where I would have done that anyway.
Yeah, well, we do this, and you'd be like, okay, this week in Foetus news, Alan is now now the size of a watermelon.
Yeah, which is the very last stage if they're overdue.
Calling it Alan.
No, being a watermelon. Yeah, if they're 2 weeks overdue.
But they don't grow much once you get to sort of like 8 months, they stop growing.
Well,
they just get a bit fatter.
Yeah, I'm maybe just a bit fatter. Yeah, because my wife is not quite 2 weeks, but like 1 week and 5 days before Star Wars Day.
Right.
So I've asked her politely if she could keep it in
cross her legs
for a week and a half.
Yeah.
See if she can get it for May the 4th.
In which case you have to call it Noob or Han.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we are going to get ourselves past that. Should we see the baby and be like, well, that's clearly not Isambard Frederick Blumson.
And we've had that as well. Like, we really like the name Lake for a girl.
Yeah.
And there was an actress whose name was Lake. And we were kind of like banning that around. And then you see the baby and you think, I don't think I can call him that. It doesn't seem weird that it seems wrong that this little thing. It's like calling it like a baby like Barry or Alan.
Keith, yeah.
You wouldn't look at the little baby and go, oh,
she'll call you.
Yeah. It doesn't work, does it?
But I think as long as we give ourselves a free pass to say this doesn't
that's
work.
why I think you should keep your options open. I think if you've been calling it Steve for 8 months or 6 months, and then when the baby comes in, he's not a Steve, is he? Well, you've already got people who've already made you like a Steve wall chart.
No one's making me a Steve wall chart. Well, it's only going to be something for us internally.
Okay.
We're still going to be in lockdown by the time the kid comes. Realistically, we're in the UK, so like, yeah. Okay, but that's what I'm going to do for the next episode. We'll
no, we're good. I think it's a good idea.
We'll bring 3 in. I'll bring a variety of middle names.
Yeah.
See which one you think.
Appraisal.
Got to give us a brutal appraisal. I'll talk through some rationale behind different things. Maybe you can talk about some of the ways you selected names.
Yeah. Well, we had the chalkboards.
With the chalkboards, that'd be good, and what you thought about, and see if we can if we can name a baby.
Yeah, you and me.
You mean it's the closest I'm going to get to having a baby with you. So.
Yeah, I think that's that'll be a fun thing. Yeah, and we'll come up with our name, and if your wife disagrees, then.
So you just have to have another one.
Have to have another one.
Yeah. All right, so thanks very much. This is Prodad Noob Dad.
Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
Chris.
Joel.
Like.
Subscribe.
Look at that.
Yeah. and turn your notifications on.
Smash that bell icon.
Right, and you have to drop a like on it or something. Is that a thing?
No, you drop the like by liking.
Right, that was the like and subscribe. You already said like and subscribe. Yeah.
That was really pro, and then we really dropped the ball, I think.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll get it.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
For all your best daily advice, join us now. It's Prodad, Noob Dad. It's Prodad, Noob Dad. Adults may vary, and the parenting skills may go down as well as up. Seek professional advice.